As you start your self-development journey, you'll discover that there are a lot of great books out there that you're going to want to read. You'll probably get recommendations and references from other members of the group, and of course from the coaches as well. And it's because these books have a very unique insight into particular problems and particular areas of study that can benefit you. So then the problem becomes, how do you handle all these books? How do you make it efficient enough to read them? And then, of course, problems with storage and transportation and cost and so on. So the solution that I use is eBooks, and I use in particular Amazon's Kindle solution. The reason that I do that is that eBooks make my books incredibly portable. I can carry hundreds of books on my iPad or my iPhone, and they also cost a fair bit less than the printed book, plus of course no shipping cost. So I'm spending about half to a third of the cost I would if I was going to buy them as printed copies, and I probably spend far less than that, probably about a fifth overall, based on the comparable New Zealand prices of the same books. So there's quite a bit of savings, there's quite a bit of portability. Now you might worry that it's not as comfortable as a printed book, and that may be true, but I found that I could adapt quite quickly, and really the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. And we're going to go through and have a quick look at the features of the Kindle application so you get an idea of really what's in there. Now most of you are probably familiar with the Kindle Device. The Kindle Device, developed by Amazon, has some advantages. It's got a very long battery life. It's got a more paper-like display for those of you that experience a difference there. It's got the right level of lighting to make it feel more like a printed book and so on. You don't need the Kindle Device in order to read Kindle books. In fact, you can download a free application for pretty much any device. I tend to use iPhone and iPad most frequently. And then you can simply download all of the Amazon books you purchase directly to it. In fact, it has a send to feature, which makes it very easy to do. So let's jump into one of these books. So when you start the Kindle app, you'll see your library of all the books that you have purchased, and you can even add some free ones by emailing yourself to a special account, such as I have some PDFs in here that I sent to myself, and it's nice to be able to keep them all in one place and to have the physical advantages of the Kindle app. So I'm going to open Nothing to Lose, which of course is Dan's book, and you can see it normally displays in a 2-column display format. You can also bring it vertical and it will switch to a single column display, whatever you're most comfortable with. It has the normal things that you'd expect. It can tell where you are in the book. You can see your location in this lower left corner here. And in the lower right, you can see the percentage complete, how far you are through the book. You simply swipe back and forth to read, and you can highlight and bookmark as well. To highlight something, you simply touch it, drag as far as you want, release. You can tap it to change the color to a different color if you want. And sometimes you'll see a piece of text that has an underline, like a dashed underline beneath it. And that essentially means that a lot of other people have highlighted this text. There's a sort of collaborative nature to this application, a bit silently. And you can tap on that dashed underline text and it will say something like 261 people have highlighted this. It helps call out interesting bits of information. I find the highlighting is one of my favorite features, and in case you're curious, I do use different colors. Yellow for things that I want to think about more. Use blue for actions that I want to take, specific things that I want to put into my daily routine or challenge myself with. And red is things that I want to discuss, usually with Dan or with other members of Brojo, to get further clarity on and to sort of hash out my own thinking about it. Now, what's great about the highlighting is that there is a summary page. In this top right corner here, there's a button. If I click that button, I can see all of the highlighting that I've made in my book from the top, from the start of the book all the way to the end, and I can see what's been highlighted, and I can see what color it's been highlighted as, and I can also see bookmarks. Here is a bookmarked item, and this bookmarked item just shows from the top of that page. It gives me a very nice way to sort of digest and review my content, focusing on the things that were important and meaningful to me. The reason I appreciate this feature so much is that I'll usually read a book through top to bottom, once, and then sometime later I'll be thinking, oh, that's such a good book. There were so many lessons that were in it, and I don't think I really got all of them. Should I read the entire book again from top to bottom? Well, now I don't have to worry about that. Now, my first pass highlights everything I found important, or if I found a whole page important, I just click bookmark. Then my second pass, which may be years later, is to simply go to that summary view. And that summary view gives me everything that mattered to me so that I don't miss out on all those good, juicy bits of knowledge. One of the things I really like about ebooks is the direction that they're going towards collaboration, towards communication, towards shared thinking. So I could imagine at some point that we would actually be able to have a group chat within the book. We could all be reading Nothing to Lose, for example, and the entire community of Brojo could be commenting on it, adding links and references and so on to all the books that we like. I find that incredibly exciting and powerful. I love that community spirit and that ability to learn from others, the ability for everyone to contribute to the greater good of the group. Now, that technology isn't quite here yet, at least not in the Kindle product, but I imagine it's coming. Let's switch over to the iPhone version now. You'll notice straight away that I've got the iPhone set up to display in an inverted mode, which is very nice for nighttime reading. I quite like it. You can do that as well on the iPad or other devices, but it's something that can be much easier on the eyes when you're reading in low light situations. Now on my iPhone, I have a few books where I've downloaded what's known as the Whispersync version. Now essentially what that means is that the text of the book is synchronized with an audio reading typically done by the author. The book I have here is Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, and you can see if I tap it, at the bottom here is some audio information, and I see little headphones as well. I can simply click play there.
On news shows and profiled in magazines, and he's been the subject of a documentary by the filmmaker Errol Morris.
And I'm hearing Malcolm read his own book, which is quite a fantastic experience because when the author reads their own book, you get the passion and the emphasis that they originally intended when they were writing it. I quite like that. I also especially like the fact that it's completely hands-free. Now, when I first explored audiobooks, I expected that they really weren't going to work for me. And the reason was that when I was in school as a kid, I found it very difficult sitting in class, listening to someone talk at me. It was quite a challenge to stay focused and keep attention. I was most likely would have been classified as ADD and drugged up quite severely. But I found it boring, and I found it very difficult to absorb information that way. But I was quite surprised to discover that once I began experimenting with audiobooks, I found that that wasn't the case at all. The problem was never sitting and listening. The problem was sitting. With audiobooks, I can be far more active. I can take them with me to the gym. I can go for a run. I can walk. I can be in a cafe. I can be doing all sorts of physical things. And I find that listening to the book is actually even easier than trying to stare at a page and stay focused. So I highly recommend that you try it. Don't go in with any assumptions like I did. Actually try it. I wish I'd discovered them far earlier. I would have read way more books by now. But now my single favorite way to read books is to listen to them. And what you're seeing here in Malcolm's Outliers book is the integrated text and audio. And essentially it means that wherever you are in the book, I can click play and it will read from there. It allows me to switch back and forth. If I like reading when I can and I like listening when I can't read, that's a perfect situation. I can jump back and forth between both modes. But in addition to that, you can download the audiobook by itself, which is done here in the Audible application. Now, even if you're listening to the audio in the Audible app, it's still synced with the text of the same book if you've purchased it in Kindle. So the syncing exists across the audio and the text. It exists across applications, the audio and the Kindle applications, and it exists across devices. So it makes it very easy for you to keep track of where you are, no matter how you're consuming that book. So here I have 3 books where I've got the audio version. Some of them I have only the audio. Some of them I have the audio and the text. And I can simply click on one of these to continue playing.
He was poised and confident. His voice was deep. His eyes were small and fiercely bright. He did not circle about topics.
Now you'll notice there are a few key features here. I can jump forward 30 seconds. I can jump backward 30 seconds. I can jump directly to the chapter as it exists in the book. There's a sleep timer, which is quite interesting. I've never used it. There's also a speed control, which you'll probably get good use out of. You'll notice that Malcolm is speaking here at 1.25 times his normal speed.
Searching for the right phrase, or double back to restate a previous sentence.
Which is very comfortable. His normal speaking speed is just a bit slower.
Or use any form of conversational mitigation. His sentences came marching out.
And you can go quite a bit faster as well.
Crisp like soldiers on a parade ground. Every question staggered through him. He tossed aside.
Which can get pretty ridiculous and useless. So find a speed that you like. It's going to vary by author, but it's quite nice to be able to process the information faster and never get a sleepy type feeling when an author is really relaxed in their manner. So I would say that audiobooks are by far my own personal favorite now at this time. I have quite a bit of the printed text, which I may end up re-downloading as audiobooks at some point. But I highly recommend you play with both, see what works well for you. If you do decide to use the audiobooks, get yourself a good pair of Bluetooth headphones. The audio is fantastic and it's far more portable. You don't have to worry about cables and so on. Or, of course, if you're working from home or if you spend a lot of time at home, you can just play it on your stereo. I think that's enough information to get you started, and I hope it really helps you. If you ever have any questions or problems, or you've come across a new fantastic tool that I need to know about, please do share it with me. Meanwhile, happy reading.